morning. Before I start, I want to say thanks to Steve and the Tech Council. Appreciate the invite. Very honored to be here. I want to give another thanks to Cape Space. It's been an amazing place to get started. My only problem with the Tech Council is the microphone is not great, so I'm just going to speak a little bit louder. So, the last night I was sitting on the couch with my wife, and I talked to her in her coming years. She's in the back right now, and she said, "How long is it?" I guess I didn't even want to say that. So it'd be about an hour, and she was horrified that I've been speaking for an hour. I said, "This is the longest you have ever actually listened to me." So kind of already started CEO of Party Dynamics. We are working as an integrator for AI technology in the Department of Defense and intelligence community. I did leave government service 2 years ago. I'm still in the Navy Reserves. So I think humans connect through stories, so kind of give a very brief background on myself. The world to be honest, I'll get a 20-second story kind of how I came about standing here today. I came into the Army right after 9/11 happened as a counterintelligence special agent and spent the next 10 years running around the world, going to unpleasant places, doing unpleasant things, collecting information that ostensibly would aid in later flight. Yeah, louder?
Maybe louder, a little bit slower.
Sure, absolutely.
Thank you.
So from 2002 to 2012, roughly, I spent time in service, going around the world, collecting information on behalf of the government, and it was all being put into a database. At the time, I didn't realize how little was actually being used. The information was just stored in a giant black box. No one quite knew what to do with it. It wasn't because it was bad information. It just wasn't that, here's where Bin Laden's at kind of information. It didn't reach that threshold for national action. So becoming increasingly frustrated with that fact, I started turning more to looking for solutions. What's the big picture? The history of humanity, the problem has always been collecting information. It's never been processing it because they're just, it was done by hand. It's humans going out collecting information. So the sensors always outstrip the ability to collect and analyze information. It's no longer the case. Just like in the private sector, the Department of Defense recognizes that it needs more assistance in processing the information and collecting, because that is outstripped the means of collection. So that's why I started pivoting my career to artificial intelligence, machine learning, specific applications to the defense and intelligence communities, which kind of brings me to where I am today. I spent time in the Department of Homeland Security working on AI projects, then went to the Asymmetric warfare group out of Fort Meade, Maryland, and then I found myself at the Office of Secretary of Defense working on their AI projects. And then after leaving there, coming off of government service, coming to private sector, realizing that it really is the people in this room and people in small businesses that can produce some of the most exquisite AI that can really aid the Department of Defense. They just don't know. You know, they're so used to going to these big companies, the Lockheed Martins, the Raytheons. They go over what they know, they just buy it over and not realizing that there's a 5-man shop in Silicon Valley or Cape Cod that has a piece of technology that if that eureka moment to find the information that they need, the connection isn't there. So that's where I come in. I'm trying to connect small businesses with defense applications and workflows so that we can all work together and not just Google and Amazon get all of them. So that's kind of the rough backstory. Here's the company. It's only 2 months old, and right out of the gate with the swinging defenses, representing 4 core technologies in addition to the consulting side of things. So I consult for some of the companies who are looking for additional work share in the Department of Defense. We're now on 3 contract vehicles. Recently, with the Chief Data and AI Office, we're on contract vehicle over there last week. So starting to pick up a little bit of steam. Our mission statement was 50% written by ChatGPT, which is amazing. So it's kind of amazing. You actually use AI to generate AI, which will then go back into the system. We'll get into some synthetic data context later. I like to really collaborative approach, so if I believe, I would like to just ask questions as we go. Let's not hold questions in, because I'll forget them, we'll forget them. It's better to just talk about it when they come up. So by all means, stop me and say, well, what are you talking about? That doesn't make sense. Let's talk further about that. I had mentioned it before, I managed over $50 million in data projects for 4 different agencies and 4 different years. This is what we did. Consulting, kind of what I mentioned before, connecting small businesses and new emerging technologies to the big giant beast that is DoD acquisitions, and representing small technologies that have a place in DoD and are just starting to get traction, helping them get more traction within the giant acquisitions out there. Okay, so I'm going to do a very brief background on how we came to use AI today in warfare, and how that came to be. I'll make this quick. We won't get a history lesson, but I think it does very mentioning what led to this. Also, most of the photos that are all generated by AI too. So I'm lazy, all pictures and words are generated by AI. So it's interesting to note that this is sort of the traditional generations of AI that's sort of accepted in the community. Generation 1 is actually the vast majority of human history. So going all the way back, probably I'd say 90 to 99% of human history falls in generations of warfare. It's sort of classical era warfare, guys that sort of in spirit, fighting things, fighting each other on battlefield, spears and stones, basically, up until the first industrial revolution happened, and you're talking about muskets, gunpowder. Gunpowder is really the revolutionizing feature here. Big Napoleonic warfare, lines of troops fighting lines of troops, line warfare for ships, but really the catalyst for all this was gunpowder. And you'll notice that at each juncture, as one generation moves to the other, there was a moment. We invented a thing, it changed the game completely. So the first one was gunpowder, and then moving into the third generation really brings us up in like the early 21st century. The early to mid 20th century. Is the idea of not just gunpowder, but leveraging gunpowder to move quickly. Blitzkrieg warfare, that's sort of the commonality here. World War II, big tank maneuver warfare, Rommel, Patton, moving fast and outmaneuvering the enemy, getting behind their lines and encircling. So that was kind of generation 3. And the real technological advance for that would be tanks and airplanes. I mean, now you can move fast. Before, yes, you had guns, but you had to line up because you couldn't out-circle very fast. Now with tanks, you can move very quickly and move a lot of troops very rapidly to encircle. That leads up to, I would say, probably the 70s, 80s, 90s, generation 4, and that's kind of what probably most of us are familiar with. Predicting Desert Storm, predicting probably to some extent Vietnam, and certainly Iraq and Afghanistan today, that counterinsurgency flavor. You have decentralized warfare, a lot of guerrilla action. You have things happening at a much smaller level, ironically. You have people moving in small groups, and now you start seeing the introduction of information as an actual warfighting function. So you have information not just being used to enable it, but actually it's part of the battle space. So now we're talking about hacking computers, cyberspace operations, kind of the idea that information is a tool and it's also a weapon. And certainly you're seeing social media come out at this point, and the idea that media is used also as a tool of weapon, and that everyone has access to it 24/7. So in Iraq and Afghanistan, any action at the lowest level now is magnified on the national stage, which kind of leads us to where we are today. I would say really in the early 2000s is when Generation 5 and what I'm calling Generation 5 Plus start to happen. I'm using the term distributed lethality warfare. I've used this before. It's really the idea that not only are you small teams now using information as a weapon, your small teams are being paired with machines. You've got drones, quadcopters. We've all seen what's happening in Ukraine right now. Somebody with $1,000 drones blowing up in a tank. That never happened before. The poor man's Air Force really is one of the largest asymmetric weapons that are out there. And we're now on the precipice for the idea that artificial intelligence and machine learning can enable these systems to take action. So not only are you going to have drones done by the pilot, you have a whole swarm of drones, each with a grenade or it's coming over a horizon, and each semi-autonomously or autonomously engaging their own targets. So this is going to drastically and rapidly change how we do business and force different other functions around it. So, any questions at this point? I feel like we're back to it.
Yeah, how do you feel about autonomous AIs making attack decisions without a human?
We just spent 4 hours on it. So the question is, what about autonomy and how does it, once it starts making its own decisions about lethality? And I think it is now starting to take ethics very seriously about AI. Kind of have to, it's both practical and pragmatic, but also an ethical question of like, who are we as a nation and how far do we want to go with this, and balancing out the adversary who has less function necessarily about pushing the boundaries of autonomy. That's a lot of things I don't know, nobody knows. I think there's some real hard questions with it, but I will also say we can't fall behind because the adversary is moving forward on this I'm not saying we should drug into this. This is like our Oppenheimer moment, right? We do need to start thinking about ethics and where's the boundary for us and what we want to do. It's hard, and we're certainly going in that direction. Or we'll be outpaced. Sorry, I don't know the answer.
Well, I'm going to tag on to that question because that was my interest. There was a recent article in the New York Times about AI controlled attack missiles.
Yeah.
And it was assuring everybody who was reading the article that human judgment will not be pushed to the side. And I was thinking, well, gee, our history of human judgment has been really terrific. We never make a mistake. And at the same time, we know that technology is an imperfect science. Right? How do we take control and not, and no offense, not turn everything over to the technologists? Because you wouldn't turn everything over to the business people.
Right.
You know, we've got multiple layers. What is the military doing, or what are you doing to help the military integrate technology experts, business and ethics experts? Otherwise, the answer to the question isn't going to be anywhere close to correct.
Yeah. No, 100% fair point. I will say that Secretary of Defense is taking seriously. They've stood up several ethics, defense ethics consortiums and working groups. They're starting to build guardrails on this. It's emerging technology, so they're still wrapping it. As usual, the Department of Defense wants the capability first and then think about the repercussions later. They're still building guardrails as we talk.
You think that they move as fast as AI?
Not really. No, it's going to be a work in progress for sure. But I will say it's reassuring to some extent right now. The decision to take lethal action is still in the hands of humans, and there still has to be someone in uniform or someone with a .gov email address approving the decision. And there are still entire groups of lawyers that approve those decisions. In some cases, there might be too many safeguards. We're still in the counterinsurgency mindset where you're going after one guy, and you're dropping a bomb on one guy, and you have time on our side. If we take 3 weeks, talk to all the lawyers, we'll get approvals, we'll talk to the White House, we'll get approvals. We won't have that luxury when it comes to a state-on-state conflict in the future. We won't have that luxury. They will be using machines to enable humans. And it really is about decision documents. Where it used to be who had the most troops at the right point, it's no longer that. It's who has the right troops the fastest at the right point. So that speed is who wins. And if you don't have speed, you'll lose. So I can see both sides of the coin. We need ethics, we need guardrails, we need to understand autonomy, but we also need to move quickly on it.
I understand that our government has the stance that we need to have the manual decision-making human element. I heard other countries have decided that that isn't necessary, and I wasn't sure if you had any sort of feedback on sort of like how that stands up sort of with our approach.
I actually have a slide in like 4, so if you don't mind, I'll hold that up until I do have absolutely address the concept of where our adversaries or potential adversaries. This kind of actually, I think, really highlights warfare in 2023. You've got drones coming online. You've got counter drone systems that work on that drone system. That's basically a giant jammer to try and mitigate drones. Information warfare is huge. That's an open source internet picture that came out of a captured Russian cell in Ukraine. They're basically a bunch of Russian soldiers sitting there pushing out disinformation and misinformation. In years past, that might have been a stock room full of ammunition. Right now, it's a stock room full of computers and what appears to be videotapes that they're pushing down. And then the idea that large drones are going to play an increasing role in conflict. So this is happening all over. This is what one level Pentagon buzzwords are all in here, but I just like this slide. This comes from the Army University Press. The complexity of warfare today. Unlike years past, it's insanely complicated. You have people maneuvering all over the outer space. You have satellites. You have aircraft. You have electronic signatures. You have just 100,000 things happening all at the same time. It's not comes back that speed matters. Speed matters the most. This is where AI, people look at this and be like, that guy should go there, this guy should do that, that's your optimal thing. I can't look at that in 21 years and make any sense of that. And AI can at least provide you some sort of enforcement action list that says, have you thought about moving that dude there, that guy's gonna do that? A list of actions, and then the human makes human decision. It frees up the human to make better and more informed decisions. And that's really what we're doing. We're not trying to make a system, yet that is capable of doing all Terminator stuff. We're trying to enable human decision. Switchblade, you've seen this in the news quite a bit. All these loitering munitions are taking a bigger and bigger role. It's very interesting. The thing has an overhead on the front of it. It'll fly, human operated again. That guy's going to be controlling it as soon as he launches. But this is going to become more and more. Right now, they're one at a time. There's going to be swarms of these in the near future. I'm sorry. I'm going to go a little bit faster than I'm a little bit behind. Here's the four more technologies that I offer right now as a technology integrator. And I think these are interesting because they kind of highlight some of the four categories that the Department of Defense is trying to get after. The top one is synthetic data. Right now for AI, it's looking at the technologists. The idea that you need training data, you need a human to go and label all the data, is time consuming, it's costly, and you don't get all the configurations for machine learning that you need. Synthetic data can bridge that gap by augmenting your human-driven labeling system. So that's one of the products I offer. It's a target modeler. It builds synthetic data sets to train the Department of Defense AI sets very rapidly. Within 5 minutes, you get a million labeled data. It's putting in labeled data sets, putting them in your system for machine learning training. Built by Franklin, it's a large language model. Similar to ChatGPT, but with contextual analysis, you can drop millions of documents into a folder, you'll analyze them all, and correlate them. With your human level approach will actually give you context from all the documents together. On the left is a computer vision product using index-driven matching. So on photos, videos, and other sensors, you can pull out detail that's great for change detection. So if an aircraft changes its configuration or anything changes, it'll alert you to that system. And then by the way, it's a long endurance drone platform that'll fly for about 12 hours. That's not really AI per se, but it enables the other stuff. So if you actually use the training data to build a training data set, and then use computer vision to load it onto the actual drone, now you have a capability that has a platform for 12 hours. You can sit there and watch the battle space and tell you when things are happening. Which enables you to do that again, going back to decision documents. It means like a human still has to take action, but it's happening fast. Your sensors are all over the place. You're watching the entire battle space instead of just staring at one spot. Here's one more Lockheed. Sorry, this is very tough stuff to talk about. So I generated a press release using generative AI, just showing how this information can make its way into the sector very quickly, very rapidly. This is obviously all fabricated, all AI driven, but the idea that you push out a little bit, roughly looks legitimate. Like that did not wear a duck hat. But if you get this into social media and spinning around in circles, then you can actually change people's minds and move the world without fighting. Okay, so here's kind of the frontiers of defense. And again, there's mentioning quickly that there are 3 things on the left. It's kind of where we are today. All sort of research and development projects. Hypersonics are very big right now, moving missiles very quickly. Space-based systems, we all saw the creation of the Space Force. I was in the Pentagon when they put up the logo. I was walking by drinking my coffee and they were hoisting the Space Force logo up, and I didn't dump the thing and like, what is going on right now? Whole new branch. They're going to be entirely dedicated to using space-based systems, and AI is going to be a large portion of that. I feel that the combination of autonomy and synthetic virtual reality systems, extended reality, augmented reality, that's going to be the future. You're going to have humans piloting craft remotely. We saw how valuable that was in Iraq and Afghanistan, and that's going away. I think what the next drive is going to be one pilot, multiple systems. You'll have the small loitering munitions controlled by human pilots. That's kind of the next phase. And then the stuff on the right is part of the horizon. It's coming, but increased use of AI and machine learning. Neuromorphics is an emerging concept of very small chips. Intel, I think IBM are producing these right now, they're in the commercial market. They basically do what AI does faster, much smaller form factor, which enables edge applications. So you're going to start to see things that can be loaded on the drone, couldn't necessarily be loaded on the GPU itself. And quantum computing, again, far horizon. but that could change quite a bit about how things operate once, quantum comes online, quantum encrypted communications become a bigger part of space. So human machine teaming is kind of more exploration. You can start to see that more and more time, like I mentioned about the virtual reality concept. Humans working closer with machines right now, data and back enabling humans to make decisions, but there will be actual physical autonomy probably within our own lifetimes. When I picked up, okay, made by AI. I know there's a lot of this is very like lethality, but okay, this is kind of brings me to the second portion. Okay, great, so this is what the DoD is doing. I'll take a pause for questions. Any questions?
So I can answer your question related to all the branches, when we showed the synergy slide, I got really nervous about all the different branches and how they're going to interact.
Oh, yeah.
What about your
Yeah.
question, what are any focus areas that you've seen?
Yeah, there's a lot of territorialism. There's a lot of like, this is my thing, don't take it, but everyone gets, but in a perfect world, each of the branches will embrace this and stay in the lane. The Army will make AI-enabled tanks. The Air Force will make AI-enabled jets. The Navy will make AI-enabled ships. Theoretically, at our it's going to be that commonality between the two, this joint work. So there's a concept that is the Deputy Secretary of Defense case, big priority, it's called Joint All-Domain Command and Control Initiative. It's basically what you just said, it's getting all the branches to jointly work together in this space to be better. And this is sort of a big initiative. So I'm going to look at fire from the actual walls. Yeah, it's a great question. Again, the answers. I don't know. There's a negative on use ships that airports depend on use planes, but there's a bias, bias. Yeah. It's a great question, and I don't have a good answer. I think it's so emerging right now. Again, this is like the ethics question. People have not sanded off the edges on this thing. There's going to be a lot of right now. The individual models themselves are generally built by commercial vendors. So it's kind of incumbent on the vendors themselves to build out hallucinations and biases and all these things that you're worried about. It's up to the actual companies that are providing them. Doesn't mean that you doesn't have guardrails and test evaluation procedures to look for that. They'll get feedback, but it's up to companies to produce models that don't have access. It's still in the background. Anything else, sir?
This is incredibly interesting and exciting, and so they're worrisome about we did constant training, preparedness, readiness training, running through scenarios and conduct, even military technical work across all branches. Training is been done with simulation, and I'm just wondering if you could, maybe you're going to refer to it in the next part of your talk, but you could refer more to how AI will help human training and then the human-machine interface, because I think it's disconcerting for me and probably many of us to think of, machines taking over. But AI-assisted human training, and particularly AI assisting in medicine is going to be phenomenal. I think we won't even recognize medicine 5 years from now in a positive way. And it's in right applications, it's unlikely to kind of run away with controlling this. But I see this as a tremendous aid in the human training, which is such a part of the military. You train, you refresh your training over and over again. And it's not always high quality as you rotate through many different administrators. If you have, an AI-perfected educational curriculum delivery system, it could be amazing.
Yeah. No, that's a great point. I think that the answer is in two parts. One, I always push back against the like Terminator analogy. I get this all the time. Like, the AI is going to kill us all, the AI is going to destroy us. A lot of that's perpetuated by Hollywood. We were all steeped in Terminator movies, and every iRobot, every movie has an antagonist in sci-fi that has some sort of a rogue AI. It doesn't mean it's not a threat. It does not mean it's not a danger. It is. It's something that we have to be cognizant of. But we can't overlook the benefits of this. This is just going to be completely irrational what it can do for us, both in military and outside. Military medicine, perfect example, which is the second portion of that. I need to create the recommender system to get the right training to the right person. Right now, the military just shotguns the training here. Do all these trainings for everyone. Why do I take this training for 100th time when it's giving me nothing? Maybe a more tailored surgical approach could really enhance the training. For medicine, it's going to revolutionize it. It can pick out patterns for cancer cells in seconds. I mean, and improve them over and over again. And again, the doctor is going to have to look at the chart to confirm that, but it puts the workload down, which means they're going to have better outcomes. So, in combat medicine, virtual reality training paired with AI recommender systems, it's going to really revolutionize how we do military medicine. We're going to have combat medics performing at a much higher level than they used to because of this stuff. They're going to be saving lives because of this. So, I hate to say it, but like the Terminator analogy is yes, something we should be aware of and put the guardrails on. We should have those ethics conversations, but we should also be talking about it. And it's really great. I'm not doing it excited too, not just the legality piece, but there's just all kinds of tremendous benefits that this can provide. Even all the way to mundane. This kind of technology can cut through the workload for defense logistics. You're going to be able to get the beans and the bullets that are a lot faster. You're going to be able to get the information you need a lot faster. People will be better fed, better taken care of, medical services will be better. There's just a list of things that this could potentially improve in addition to the actual warfighting piece of it as well.
So there's a lot of AI companies popping up. Is each company creating its own like engine, or are they sort of interfacing with like ChatGPT or Google? Are there like parallel projects coming on, or are they all kind of like using existing technology?
That's a great perspective. I appreciate that. So, this acquisition piece, like how do we do business, how is business done with the Department of Defense? One big piece of it is how the large language model piece, the ChatGPTs, that they're still working on right now. This is new for everybody, right? ChatGPT came storming out of the scene, took us all by surprise. It's amazing that this is new. Everyone's rapidly going around. How can this generative AI piece benefit their workforce? That's still new. So it comes to the company piece. Each commercial company bids on contracts. The DoD releases their requirements, and then the companies themselves look requirements if they feel there's something they can match. They go out that contract, they bring their own services. Theoretically, it's the Department of Defense or a prime integrator company's job to put all these things, those jigsaw puzzle pieces together and make them all play nice. Generally, it's a larger defense contractor. Lockheed Martin would win a big contract, they'd hire a bunch of little guys who would all work together, and it would be Lockheed Martin's problem to orchestrate all the AI models into some semblance of usable output. This is supposed to scare you, and it does. It's scary every day. This is an actual screenshot of how the Department of Defense thinks contracting should work. This is straight out of the Federal Acquisition Regulation. I mean, it's like one of the main flaws. I've been doing this 21 years. I don't understand any of this. It's all bananas. They work off of a 5-year cycle where the individual agencies and services will put out a requirement. They say, I need a widget. Does anyone have a widget? All these companies line up. They say, I have a widget. They evaluate them all. They select some. They issue contracts years down the road. And unfortunately, the thing where an iPhone comes out every 5 minutes, you're now using an iPhone 1, and the rest of the world is using iPhone 11. So this they recognize this is a little bit antiquated. This needs updating, and they have done some strides in some modernized rapid acquisition strategies. So for this group, and why it's pertinent, is I really do want to get people involved in this. I think there is technology sitting with this road, and I think on the game that could be used in the Department of Defense. There are defense applications for probably some of the things that you're working on. So this is not my list. I'll send out slides afterwards. We will look at this. I don't want to belabor these. The real idea here is just all students that not. I've talked to a lot of companies like, oh, well, they've already gotten that. They don't got that. Like, you might have something they need, so at least have a conversation about it and see what it is. I think number 7 is probably the next one. Don't go into this thinking, you're going to get on contract tomorrow, and they're going to cut you a check, and it's all going to be roses. Unlike the private sector, where you go to Amazon and they'll make a deal with you, and kickoff is tomorrow. We're talking months, if not years, from proposal to getting on contract to a kickoff to actually getting paid. It's a very long, very, very long process. Don't let that dissuade you. Just understand that it's a long process because of the risk aversion within the Department of Defense. Unlike a lot of private sectors, Google's motto is move fast and break things. I think the Department of Defense's motto is basically move slow as you can and don't touch anything.
That's an interesting point, because right now, if you want to build a ship, you have to build a spec
Then, so it doesn't use new technology, you have to insert the old technology in the ship, test it, and then do you see the changes? Yeah, a little bit, they know there's a problem, that's the first thing. They're more and more to respond to modularity on platforms, so build scaffolding and plug things in, open architecture, see this in half the contract, open architecture, open architecture, open architecture. Not meaning that it's unsecure, open to the public, just meaning that new things should be able to be plugged in, not swap out the old thing for the new thing, but keep it fresh, keep the shit, keep it hanging. You know, we got to keep ships for 20 years, right? We're not getting rid of them. So swapping in new technologies is a big piece of this. That answer. Any other questions? Okay. So here's one of the things that I'm doing right now, I think next gallery. So I'm already on board with sport technologies, but if you have anything amazing out there, if you think it has a defense applications, email me, I'll send these slides out, I'll get them at the end of this. If you have something in the back of your mind, you can kind of rattling around, send me an email, we'll talk, we'll see if you could potentially have any of this application. So as I mentioned, that horrible chart of here's how they do business, there are some slightly more rapid ways they are making strides to improve ours. These are just a handful of initiatives that they've stood up to try and rapidly acquire AI technology. Not just AI in many cases. This one is strictly AI, it's kind of alternate. But the idea is that they have other transactional authorities that will allow them to move a little bit faster on contracts, a little bit more rapidly in 5 years. You're talking months, not years. My rule of advice before I sort of pulled out here is just keep submitting, right? I've been told no 1,000 times. You don't get traction until you're on the proposal, but that's the one that matters at the end of the day. Who cares about the 99 you didn't like? It's just a process of volume on a level. So hopefully this has been helpful. I'd love to help. All my contact information is on here. I'd love to answer any further questions. Please reach out if you want to talk about something you have or work it up in the marketplace. Yeah.
Actually, I think you mentioned you were with the Homeland Security at one point. Have you heard of anybody being concerned about the possibility of some domestic terrorist groups involved with some of the drone technology and training?
Honestly, I haven't. No. I think they're concerned about them getting hold of it. Okay, no, let me phrase it. This is a big question. I don't think they're really worried about them getting hold of our technology, like, a large aircraft, like small, but usually a small one, absolutely. Again, I think go too far in the details of like how the counters work, but they are taking it serious. They are still pondering the problem. That's a visa problem. Yeah.
It's going to sense for you to partner with a bigger company, honestly,
100%. I mean, let's be honest, the debt is stacked against all this and bringing us to our commodity market. Like, you're not going to win a big contract and guarantee that the fastest path to success is partnering with a big company. Go talk with the top 5, those, Raytheons of the world, win the multiple contracts. But I do have a lot of contacts with some of the bigger companies, so if this is the path that you're looking for, I'm happily make a connection. I'm consulting for Huntington Ingalls right now. They build ships. And they are working hard at adding new technology to those ships. So if you have something like this, that's an amazing naval application. I'd be happy to talk to them on behalf of what this new thing is. But yes, partnering with big companies is the fastest. And sometimes they already have a contract that matches, so you might even have to go through the contract process. So, well, we already have it, let's just plug it in. You do something down there.
So, you mentioned hypersecurity and speed, but related to that is the cost versus complexity. So one of the things we're seeing in Ukraine is that the jerry-rigging things and having good success. There's really low-end applications where the US has these fabulous things, but they're very expensive.
Yeah. No, 100%. And small and disposable can oftentimes be large and complex. If you have enough of them, and we need to go wrong. I think that really started to come into consciousness in the Department of Homeland Security in Azerbaijan like 4 or 5 years ago. That's when we started seeing the independent drones. I guarantee you, Ukraine took note of that. The Russians took note. They were taking notes as fast as they could because it worked. They were running circles around our adversaries using tiny cheap DJI fan does, $1,000, straps up their onto some, literally some duct tape, push the button, and boom, performance Air Force. So I think, that, yeah, they are definitely taking that seriously. And actually, Secretary of Defense, Deputy Secretary Hicks, last week announced an initiative, publicly called the Replicator Initiative, which is tackling that exact problem. How do we, as the Department of Defense, get away from giant predator drones that cost $1 billion and start buying cheap, disposable things, preferably not made in China, that aid our defense. So they're cheap and disposable is the new buzzword.
But, so, are you or government going to use engine 3.5, DPD 3.5 or
Sorry.
the government going to use DPD 3.5
Yeah.
or even 3.4.0 or they want to have their own engine? So all the major AI companies that have engine behind it, and they do provide like their API.
Yeah.
So they're gonna open source or they're gonna build their own engine?
Yeah, I don't know. If you notice, I'm very careful about speaking to any specific department initiative from all this. I don't know, and it's outside the scope of here. I do know there's a growing interest in large language models in general, and most likely there will be an open competition sometime in the next 10, 20 years. ChatGPT might be the best right now, but it won't be tomorrow. ChatGPT 4 won't be the best tomorrow. Who knows who that best might be here, But I think that there will be there has to be, right? That this is a huge revolutionary technology. May the best man win. The race is started, for sure.
Yeah, how do you, solid question, but how do you know that your competitors, Chinese, Russians, you name it, already know this and do it? They know what you're doing. They found ways to how to protect it, how to disrupt it, how to influence it.
Yeah.
Is there somebody in the Defense Department looking at that, taking a hard look at what your competitors are doing? Because you may be working in your spectrum, but the world's passing you by, and you don't know what it's going to hit.
I don't know, I'm not really into how to counter that, and it'll probably not be something that we can talk about here anyway. Yeah, I would hope that they're looking at certain threats to AI and certainly attacks, for sure. That's definitely.
You define your company's services as private integration between other companies' components, or you're looking at on plug somewhere? I'm not quite sure.
Yeah.
How to describe it.
Yeah, it's two things. One, it's consulting, helping companies understand that HR and showing them opportunities are there and making connections, making meetings in the Pentagon, walking people in the Pentagon, talking to people who make decisions. And the second piece is selecting promising technology that it has proven but not integrated into defense yet, and integrating into defense applications. It's understanding what are defense headaches and sort of bridging the gap to say, this is what they really want to achieve. This is sure, that's what the contract says. And that's not really what they want. They want to do this. You're thinking to do that. Let's plug that in. And in some cases, that does mean combining technologies, like in computer vision and the actual weapons processing. We can wrap those all together in a package if that's what the contract requires. So it's really consulting and reselling.
So you take GSA contracts?
I don't have GSA schedule right now. Yeah. There are GSA contracts out there, but the schedule is pretty hard to get. It takes time, and I'm not too much steep.
I read an article where Elon Musk, the Ukrainians were sending these drones into Crimea, especially to target Russian naval vessels, and Musk turned the Starlink network off, which rendered all of these devices useless, right? How do you control something like that where a business executive is actually now implicated?
Question. And to be fair, to my knowledge, he was not being paid for that. That was all pro bono work. So he's well within his rights as a private company to turn it off. Do I support that decision necessarily? It's kind of a bad move for our allies at the time. And they kind of screwed them up. But maybe the silver lining there is that what was all up to the benefits of a distributed microsatellite network. Maybe that's something we should consider as a country as opposed to just private industry relying on private industry. Traditionally, the government has produced large things they're worldly space, not small things. So maybe this will revector us. And the Space Force is going to take a hard look at that, right, and say, whoa,
Yeah.
maybe that should be us and not Musk.
All these universities,
I'm sorry.
and things, I mean, I'm graduate, I'm a taxpayer, I'm willing to serve for PhDs or the.
That's Irish patents. Oh, like, what are the IP considerations? You're saying like, what are the intellectual property considerations? Yeah, great question. Fully negotiable. This is interesting. Every contract is different, and it's negotiation between the private company and the government. The government always starts out saying, you want to own your company at the end of this. You always start out saying, I don't think you could drop IP. And in general, we almost called government purpose rights, GPR, is an IP consideration that you generally negotiate towards the middle, where the government maintains rights to your IP, essentially a license for use anywhere in the government. They always forget about it and use their agency, just kind of cool thing, still sell it to a bunch of others. But they cannot distribute it to private industry, and you maintain rights, full rights to under GPR to sell it to other businesses. So you stay in the commercial sector, they get distributed to government, and then you can use their funding to actually R&D.
The copyright law recently announced content that only generated by AI cannot be subject to copyright.
Yeah, it's interesting. I can't wait to see the Supreme Court case about that, 'cause it's gonna happen. In the next 5 years, I bet there's gonna be a Supreme Court case. Yeah. And it's a hard one, right? It's like the ethics question. These are all hard questions. There is an answer to it. Like, what do you do about, all these photos? Do I own those photos? Is the company who made the models? Is the engineer? Is it public sector? Private? Who knows, right? These are great, these images. Do I own them? I mean, technically, I don't want a user license agreement, I do, but it's not copyrighted. So, I don't know. I think we'll see a Supreme Court case. That's a very good day. Any other questions?